Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk a little bit about real estate investing. So I've mentioned this in a couple of my other videos, but I just wanted to dive a little bit more into kind of our experience with real estate and what kind of led us to investing with the Fundrise platform. So we do have a little bit of experience with real estate. When we lived in Michigan and decided to relocate out of the state, we owned our home there, and if we wanted to sell it, we were going to end up having to take a loss and do a short sale. And we knew that was something that we were not looking to do. That was not a wise financial move for us. So we decided to turn that home into a rental property and manage it from out of state, so we did have to pay a property manager. So we actually found tenants, and they stayed in that home for 6 years while we had that as a rental property. It was not always a smooth process. There was times when we lost money on it month to month, just having to pay the mortgage and the insurance and the management fees, and whether the tenants were paying or not paying. They seemed to always be behind, and we still had that mortgage payment to make every month. So it was definitely a rocky road over those 6 years. I'm not going to go into a lot of different details. We did end up with a lawsuit as well against our property manager. So it was just very, very messy. So we did end up deciding to sell that property, and it sold in 2019, just as our third child was being born. And we were very, very thankful. We were able to actually sell it for a profit. The market had turned around. We got well more than we had paid for it and what was remaining on the mortgage. So we made a pretty nice profit, and that was part of what had helped us in our journey to becoming debt-free. We used a large, well, I think all of that profit towards debt. So I am just very thankful that we were able to offload that property prior to the pandemic hitting, because a lot of property managers, I think, have been struggling, not being able to, you can't evict people, but they can't pay, and then, you're kind of stuck having to pay that mortgage as well. So that's why real estate investing can be very risky, and it's often advised not to get into real estate unless you are paying cash. I know there's other investors that, are very adamant about leveraging loans, but I think it's a very fine line, and it can be risky. So if you don't have that money saved up to be able to pay those monthly mortgage payments, if you do have vacancies or tenants that aren't paying, you can be put in a difficult situation. So we know that real estate investing is definitely one of the preferred and most common ways to build wealth and to generate, I'll say, air quotes, passive income. It's not necessarily passive. You are doing work. You have to find those tenants, screen them, work with turnover, doing, maintenance type things on that unit, making sure it's kept up. So there's definitely work involved with that. So we know that that was, a good way to build wealth, but that wasn't something that we really had on our hearts to want to do again and have to deal with tenants. We did luck out. We did enjoy our tenants, even though they didn't always pay on time. But I didn't want to end up with like those terrible tenants that don't pay or they trash your place. So I kind of was in the market, like, what else is out there that we can get involved in real estate wise that isn't as risky, hands-on, dealing with tenants, that kind of thing. So after doing some research, I found some different options. So we're actually taking advantage of a couple of them. So through some of our other investing platforms, like my Roth IRA, I'm able to invest in real estate that way. So we invest in a real estate index fund through Vanguard. And I'm not going to get into a lot of the details on, index funds and investing in this video, but it does have a fairly low expense ratio, which is very good, because that's, the higher the expense ratio, the more it's eating into your returns. This real estate one that I do invest in, it does have a $3,000 minimum. So we had to, as we were building up to that, into that fund, we couldn't invest into it until we had that $3,000. But this one does have an average annual return annualized over the last 10 years of 9.7%. So that's pretty good. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some pros and cons here of different ways of investing in real estate versus traditional real estate. So that is one way that we are investing, and that's very, easy, hands-off kind of thing. So I'm happy with a 9.7% return on that. But I also found the crowdfunding platforms such as Fundrise, which I'm going to talk about today. There are other ones on the market as well. Realty Mogul, there's another one. I can't think of it. But Fundrise really seemed to be the most popular one, and it had good reviews, so that was something that I wanted to try. And that was kind of a goal that I had made this year, is to start investing into that platform. So a little bit more just about what Fundrise is and, the size of it and things like that. So all of this is from their website. They have over 260,000 active investors. They have over $7 billion in assets, and $160 million has been paid out in net dividends earned by those investors. So that it shows the magnitude of the company, and they have to pay out 90% of the money that they make back to those investors. They're not able to keep it. There's a lot of legal things that they're held to as to be able to do this. So I'm not going to get into all of that nitty gritty, but I did want to talk about just some of the pros and cons that I feel exist with investing through a platform like Fundrise. So I would say the best part is that you can get started with as little as $10. I know this has changed over the years. Often to invest in things like this, you have to be what they call an accredited investor, which just means you have a lot of money already. So for most of us, we're not sitting on millions of dollars already and wanting to invest in real estate. We're, normal everyday folks that just want to kind of dabble in it and, maybe build up your investment portfolio, but you don't already have hundreds of thousands of dollars in income and millions in net worth. So being able to invest for as little as $10 is huge. That means anybody can do this. I also feel that it's very easy to do and not risky at all. So unlike traditional real estate where, there's a lot of things at play, making sure you're buying it at a good price, that you're screening your tenants and getting good tenants, and that you're not having a lot of turnover and maintenance, etc., etc. Another big one for me is you don't have to be a landlord. Literally, you pay the money, it goes into the crowdfunding platform, and they do all of the work for you. So you are going to get a little bit less of returns compared to traditional real estate, but I was okay with that because that means I don't have to deal with tenants anymore. You also don't have to deal with those, like I said, those vacancies. They do charge you some fees, but I feel like they are very reasonable compared to, some other things. And even with traditional real estate, you're paying, insurance and taxes. So it's not like that is without cost as well. One of the downfalls is it's not a liquid asset, meaning if you decide, hey, I want to take my $10,000 out of this and just sell it, it doesn't really work like that. So there is a commitment that you hold that for at least 5 years. There are then ways to request some of that money, to pull that money out. But it's really meant to be a long-term investment. So just like if you were, buying a home, that's typically a long-term investment. But like in traditional real estate, that is more liquid. You could decide, even if you bought a home today and wanted to sell it next month, you can. So with Fundrise, that's not really the same. There are some penalties, and it does talk about depending on the economic state, they may decline that. So as I mentioned, we had the goal of doing investing in to the Fundrise platform for 2022. So what we did is in January, beginning of January, we started off with $1,000 goal. And then in February, the end of February, we added another $100. So we have $1,100 of our own money invested into that platform. We chose to not reinvest those dividends, so they will be paid out to us on a quarterly basis. So as we just wrapped up the first quarter, I think technically $4.62 of that would be paid back to me in a dividend. And I chose to do that as a way that as we in the future years develop this this account and build wealth within there, that as that value, that dividend increases, that would be a way to supplement our income on, again, it's a quarterly basis, not even a monthly basis, but that would be an additional income stream. Because there was a caveat that you can't like turn it on later and get the money that was invested prior. So I figured I better do it just from the start, and then even if they send me $4.62, I can turn around and invest that money back in again. So that's kind of just my summary of our history with real estate, kind of our mindset, why we chose to go with a platform like Fundrise that's a little more hands-off, low risk, fairly decent returns still, and a good way to, you know, get your foot in the water with real estate investing without all the work. So I would love to hear from you if you invest in traditional real estate or crowdfunded real estate like Fundrise, or maybe some of the land. There's ones for just for land as well. I'd love to hear your experience in the comments below, and I hope you found this video helpful, and I will see you in the next one.